Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt that looking at your phone takes up a little too much of your day? That maybe the roses got to get stopped and smelled just a little bit more, and your screen time is getting in the way of that. I know I'm not the only one. You start scrolling Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it is, and all of a sudden it's like 2 hours later, and you're just like, oh, what did I do with my life? Was that really the best way I could have spent my time? I don't know about you, but it just leaves me feeling a little bit disconnected from reality. Tell me I'm not crazy. Well, I've had enough. I'm doing a hard reset on my dopaminergic wiring. I've decided to present myself with a challenge. 30 days with no social media. I'm going to spend 30 days without spending any of my time mindlessly watching a screen for entertainment that I'm probably just going to forget anyway. Now, it's true. I could just delete all the social media apps on my phone, but why would you leave your balls dangling the way they are when you can go balls to the wall? No, I'm stepping back in time. No smartphone altogether. Instead, I'm going to be using this. A dumb phone, if you will, or a flip phone for all you old timers. That's right. Although they are exclusively marketed towards old people, advertising that they have big buttons so you can see them without glasses, you can still buy flip phones in today's day and age. So I'm a little bit disappointed that it doesn't come with an antenna so I can pull it out and look like I mean business. But it does come with a charger and 2 batteries. I'm going to use the SIM card for my iPhone, so I still have the same number. And let's see if we can't get this thing going here. Let's go. This bad boy's got a camera and everything. Okay, let's take a selfie. All right. Not too great, but it'll work. This bad boy's even got FM radio.
Portugal the Man. Live in concert.
What more do you need right there? Okay, let's give my mom a call.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, sir.
What's going on, bro? Okay, so the phone is operational, and my mom is doing just fine. So it begins. And the parameters of this challenge are simple. Consume absolutely zero social media. Zero tolerance policy. And yes, that includes movies and TV shows as well. I'm doing none of it. Which is honestly going to be the easy part of this for me, because I literally don't have any subscriptions to streaming services. I don't have Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney, none of it. Partly because if I ever really feel like watching a movie, I have a burner computer in my living room where I'll download that business on the down low, if you know what I mean. Okay? Sorry. Lock me up. But honestly, I barely ever even do that. Basically, all I watch is YouTube. I've always watched YouTube. YouTube probably makes up 90% of the things I've ever watched on a screen, so that's going to be the big one for me. And the objectives of this challenge are this. Be smarter, faster, cooler, smell better, all of it. I want to use this challenge as, somewhat of an opportunity for a little bit of self-improvement, and my thinking is that if I'm not, watching stuff as much and I'm not looking at my phone as often, then I'll have more time to do that. And I won't have anything distracting me so that I can, take a little bit more time and focus on the things that I want to focus on. So what am I going to do with my time? Well, as some of you may already know, I'm somewhat of a chess player myself. And I'm kind of at the point in my chess journey where if I really want to get better, if I really want to improve past the point where I'm already at, then I think some serious studying is in order for me to do that. Second is I could read a book, like a scholar. And I actually happen to have a lot of books because for some reason in the past, I've been more inclined to collect books than I have been to actually read them. And, when people come over, it makes me look like a distinguished gentleman. So that was a factor in my decision-making process. I'm not going to lie. Also, I'm going to have a couple of other YouTube videos in the works, so stay tuned for that action. But other than that, I can always go outside and actually socialize with other human beings. There's always that. That's always a thing you can do. And if I don't feel like doing any of that, then my options are to sit down and stare at the wall until I go to sleep. That's what I'm giving myself. Like they did in the old days, I can only assume. Maybe I'll do some philosophizing. Maybe I'll do some self-reflection, some deep contemplation. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I do know that I am not going to be sitting on my phone, mindlessly scrolling, just for hours on end, doing nothing. I know that. So yeah, that's where I am right now. And I guess I'll have to catch you in a couple days, and we'll see how things are going. Okay, so it's officially been just over a week of me being completely social media free, and I'm actually loving this challenge more and more every day. I feel like I'm straight raw dogging reality right now. So my iPhone has been relegated to my junk drawer, exactly where it belongs, and I'll check it like a couple of times a day just because some people that I know only text me through Snapchat, and also the group chats that I'm in, the texts still go to my iPhone because I guess that's a little too advanced for my flipperoo. So I'll go on it to answer a few texts here and there, but that's it. So when it comes to communicating on the little flipperoo here, let me show you. Right message. Let's type hello. He. No. Hello. That's what we got. Do any of you guys remember doing that? So it takes like a million years just to send a text. So whenever I get a text message, I just like call that person. Just like, yo, what's up? Now the first couple days of this challenge were definitely the hardest, but it's been getting easier and easier every day. At first I felt like I was going through withdrawal a little bit. Like I felt like something was just missing. Like I didn't realize how much of an ingrained habit it was for me to just reach for my phone whenever I sit down or do anything just to check it, like literally for no reason. I know a lot of you guys are probably the same way. Like on the first day when I filmed the first part of this video, I remember I cooked dinner and I sat down to eat, and that's when it like really sunk in. And let me know if you guys do this too, because whenever I sit down to eat something, I always put on a YouTube video just to watch it while I'm eating. And I was just sitting there like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna look at my food now. I finished my food in like probably half the time that I normally do, and I would just remember standing in my kitchen, just totally primitive, like an ape, just technologyless. And I was like, geez, I guess I gotta come up with a plan here. And I took a book off of my bookshelf, because that was supposed to be, part of the plan, and I didn't read it. But I just remember like pacing around my house, just like trying to come up with a plan, just come to terms with my new reality. So that was pretty much my first night. And then I went to bed and I realized, oh, I need my phone for my alarm. So I went to the store and I got this thing. You guys remember alarm clocks? Yeah. Talk about a throwback to like 2004. I should get an iPod Nano and, relive the good old days. But seriously, I would say that my lifestyle is much, much better now. I have like these moments of boredom where I guess I'm like subconsciously expecting to be stimulated or trying to preoccupy myself by watching a video or looking at something online. And I have to just take a second and be like, nope, we're not doing that. And I feel like I'm resetting my neurological wiring because it's such a habit to just scroll through stuff online. And you don't realize it, but you're always getting this like little dopamine response by clicking on stuff. And I don't think that people realize how addicting it actually is. It's like an actual drug habit. But I'm actually loving this challenge. I feel like I've been a lot more productive living life without my phone. And it's not just, spending less time online. It's a lot about simply not having a distraction from something that you're trying to do. Like if you plan on doing something and then you end up spending a bunch of time on your phone or your computer for that matter, after you get off of it, you feel like a lot less inclined to do that thing. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I have found that I've delved a little bit deeper into my hobbies, though. I've been playing a lot of chess online, which, yes, it is online, but I'm classifying that as a different thing altogether. I'm going to classify it as being for educational purposes, so that's a different thing. And I have started reading that book. Okay, I'm almost finished it, actually. It's called Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. Some of you may have already heard of it. It's a pretty violent book. Actually, it's a really violent book. It's kind of crazy. And I've been enjoying reading it very much, actually. In fact, I think I'm going to do a little book review on it and upload that to my YouTube channel. So by the time this video comes out, that might already be on there. And it's kind of funny. I do have to say that reading a book like this is a lot less exciting and stimulating than like watching TikToks, for example. So I do have these little moments of boredom where I kind of find it hard to keep my mind from wandering a little bit when I'm reading pages and pages at a time. But I'm partly motivated to improve my attention span because, again, I'm not a neuroscientist, but there's absolutely no way that watching hours of videos that are no longer than 30 seconds long is good for a person's ability to focus. Like, there's just no way. So I want to try to read, not only to be a distinguished gentleman by involving myself in literature, but also to kind of improve myself in that cognitive domain. So yeah, stay tuned for the next update, and we will see you in a couple more days.
3 weeks later.
So right now, I'm actually approaching the end of week 3. living life like it's 1999. And this challenge is definitely one of the best things I've ever done. So, I did not make a second week update. What I did was about halfway through this challenge, I started taking notes and paying close attention to the things that have changed in my life as a result of me not being tuned into my phone all day. And these are my observations. Number one, and this is probably the best improvement, and I didn't even realize that this was happening at first, but it's that when I go to bed, I'm actually falling asleep a lot quicker. Now, I've never had too much trouble staying asleep once I fell asleep, but probably like most people, sometimes I have trouble getting to sleep right away when I go to bed. And for me, as I have now realized, that was probably entirely because I would almost always watch something on my phone right before I went to bed. Like a lot of nights, I would have my phone 1 inch away from my face, just blasting light into my eyeballs for up to like an hour before I go to bed, which is obviously not good for you. Not only does it keep you up when you could have been trying to fall asleep, but, when you put your phone down, guess what? Your brain is not ready to go to sleep now. And the worst part is that I even knew this beforehand, and I would still do it. Again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but as far as I know, being exposed to bright light, prevents the release of melatonin, which you produce naturally, of course. And so when you're exposed to light like that, your brain thinks it's sunlight, and it thinks it's the daytime still. So your brain's like, okay, well, it's not time to go to bed because it's still the daytime. Like, I've listened to videos of doctors that have said, yeah, being exposed to a bunch of bright light before you go to bed will affect your ability to go to sleep. And it totally does. Like, they're right. Like, I've still been spending some time on my computer throughout this challenge, but I've been making sure to stop that for even at least an hour before I'm ready to go to bed, so that when I do go to bed, I'm actually falling asleep so much quicker. It's actually amazing. So the time it takes me to be unconscious from the time that I actually go to bed has been reduced dramatically, which is great. The second thing that I've noticed is that days feel longer. I actually do feel like I have more time in the day. Obviously, I still have the same amount of hours in the day as I used to, but I don't think it's that I'm just spending less time on my phone. I think what it is when you tune into your phone or your computer, you mentally check out from reality. So when you spend a lot of time online throughout the day, there's like these holes in your timeline where you were not paying attention to like your surroundings or the life around you. And at the end of the day, I think it makes it seem like the day went by quicker. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I swear to God that it works like that in one way or another. I'm positive of it. And I especially notice that it feels like I have more time in the mornings and in the evenings. Like, I'm not a morning person. When I get up, it takes me a long time to start actually feeling awake. But when I used to wake up, I would just go straight for my phone, and I would just spend God knows how much time just laying there. I don't even want to admit it. So now I just have these moments in the morning where I'll like sit up and I'll just like stare into the void for I don't even know how long. Could be 20 minutes. I have no idea. But I'm not in the game for a while after I wake up, and that's just me. But I do know for a fact that between the time that I open my eyes and the time that I'm like showered and had something to eat and I'm like ready to go, that's been cut in half at least. And I think the biggest thing is that whenever you don't feel like doing something and you have your phone beside you, it's just an easy out. You always have this easy source of entertainment to rely on whenever you don't feel like doing anything. You're just like, okay, I'll just watch my phone right now until I feel up to it or I'm more awake or whatever, even though that's not how it works. And subconsciously, you probably fool yourself a little bit. You're probably like, okay, I'll just look at this for a couple minutes. And guess what? It's not a couple minutes. You don't go on TikTok and watch 2 and then log off. That's not how it works. Just like you don't open a bag of chips and have 1 chip. Nobody has 2 chips. You eat the whole frickin' bag. And if you don't have the whole bag, you eat like half the bag. Just because you want to save some for later too. Not just because you don't want to eat the whole thing now. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. And if you start watching your phone, planning on doing something after, that's a bad plan of action. Because after you put your phone down, you feel even less like doing that thing, whatever it is. It's like eating a whole bag of chips before dinner. Not only are you going to not be hungry anymore, but your palate has been squandered. So now that I don't have a phone, it's not necessarily that I'm more motivated to do stuff. I am a little bit, although I still procrastinate on things, of course. But now that my phone isn't an option, it's kind of like, okay, well, there's nothing else I'm going to do, so we may as well get the show on the road here. And the next thing that I noticed, and this is kind of on a different note, but this is actually really nice, and it's that I'm actually talking to people on a regular basis. And not just texting people, because like I said, texting people on this thing is a straight pain in the butthole. And a lot of the calls I've had are probably partly out of boredom, because I do get bored and start looking for stuff to do. But I feel like I've been more in touch with the people around me because of it, which is really cool. Like, I've had so many calls where I'll hang up and I'll look at the call timer and it'll be like way over 30 minutes. And I'm like, whoa, that was a long conversation. I had no idea that we talked for that long. Where before this challenge, that was pretty rare for me. I've just been straight chatting away, which is really cool. I actually really like that. Okay, so one of the last observations that I've made, and this is the most interesting one, it's that I think my memory is better. I'm not actually entirely sure. But like I said earlier, if you're a chronic social media user, you'll have these long sections of your day where you're not paying attention to what you're doing or the world around you. You know what I'm talking about? Like, if you've been watching TV for long enough, or you've been tuned into your phone for long enough, you're absorbed right into it, and you're not a part of reality for as long as that's going on. And again, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm pretty sure that affects how your mind works, in not a good way. Like, sometimes if you ask me what I did 2 days ago, I'll be like, I don't even know, bro. I don't even know. That's a long time ago. You know, I don't want to get all supernatural with it. I'm not necessarily one for meditation or anything like that, but I do feel more in tune with my day-to-day operations, without my phone being there, acting as a disconnection between me and whatever's going on in my life. So we still have a handful of days left to go for this challenge, and at the end, I'm going to come up with a summary of my conclusions, and I'll get back to you on my very last day. Ladies and gentlemen, we have prestiged. Our challenge has been completed, and the 30 days are over. And it is time for me to integrate myself back into the 21st century. This challenge was a big eye-opener for me, and it was only after I started that I realized this wasn't just a little challenge, it was basically an entire lifestyle change. Because for me, and for you as well, I'm sure, using your phone constantly and being on social media is a big part of your daily life. Most of us are completely accustomed to it, and you probably don't even realize the extent of how much you use it. And some people might not have a problem with it, and that's fine. But I know for a fact that a lot of people are starting to feel like constantly consuming social media and constantly being tuned into their phones is less of a cute little form of entertainment and more of something that is taking away from the other aspects of their lives. Let me ask you this. When was the last time that you were bored? Like, truly bored? It seems like that's a rare occasion for most people nowadays. I feel like boredom is a natural part of life that leads you to do stuff and be a part of the world. But now it's too easy to just find something to watch and just be constantly artificially stimulated. Because let's not forget, consuming social media isn't just a thing that we decide to do here and there. There's a neurological and chemical response that takes place in your head when you do it, which means you gotta be conscious of that and have control over it. Again, it's kind of like junk food. You know, there's amazing food out there that's healthy and good for you to eat, and then there's also Twinkies and McDonald's. Just like there's amazing informative podcasts out there that you can listen to and get information about stuff that you would otherwise never have access to. And there are awesome movies that tell really cool stories and everybody loves watching them. But I think we can all agree that there's a lot of just straight up junk out there. In fact, most of it's junk, really. So this was a big change, but a necessary one. And until it happened, I don't think I quite realized how much I relied on stuff like YouTube and whatever else to keep me occupied whenever I felt like being preoccupied, which is most of the time. So without getting too philosophical about it all, and without stepping over my intellectual boundaries as a YouTuber with no subscribers, basically the question is this. Social media is going to be a part of our worlds no matter what, and that's okay. But we probably have some kind of responsibility to ourselves to decide when it's something that can be useful to us and when it's something that's just wasting our time and rotting our minds. Now, I'm not saying we should all move into the woods and go all Ted Kaczynski with it, okay? You know, nobody's arguing for that necessarily. But let me say this. Try asking yourself a question that you probably don't want to know the answer to. How many hours of your life have you spent like this? And by the time you're on your deathbed, how many hours is that going to be by then? You know? Probably more than you want to admit. So that's not fun to think about. And now, I don't know how to end this video, but I guess the point is, we should all try to be as dope as we can be. And also, let's not hand our attention over, just willy-frickin'-nilly, to things that are mostly nonsense anyway. And maybe we'll be smarter, faster, cooler, and stronger because of it. And the objectives of this challenge are this. Be smarter, faster, cooler, smell better, all of it. So anyway, I'm very interested to know other people's thoughts on the matter. So if you write a comment, I'll be more than happy to read it. And if any of you out there do this challenge yourself, I'd like to know how it goes. So yeah, thanks for showing up, and we'll see you next time with whatever happens to be going down. Catch you later.